Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Tobela and thank you so much for tuning in. If you are new here, please hit the subscribe button and do not forget to hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time when I upload a video. Well, do you understand how the recent crash in oil prices affect our pockets? Stay tuned because that's what I am covering today. Please remember, guys, my videos do not constitute financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please do consult a certified financial planner, certified with the FSCA in South Africa. So guys, this is the second video in the series where I explore what is happening in the markets and linking that right back to each and every one of us. In the first video, I explored the recent cuts in interest rate and how that relieved us as consumers. If you have missed that video, please do check it out on my YouTube channel. We have seen oil prices crash to negative levels in the market. And yes, negative levels, where essentially someone was being paid for taking up oil and storing it, and then benefiting from selling it later at a higher price when there is activity around the world. Now, there are different types of oil and therefore different reference prices. I do not want us to get to focus on the semantics of those prices. I want us to take the general feel that all prices have gone down and therefore how do they affect us as consumers. So in this video, I want to explore how we are benefiting from the recent crash in oil prices. But before I do that, this video was inspired by an event which just took place. So my mom and I went shopping on the 1st of May. Now, if you remember the 1st of May, that's when South Africa started easing the lockdown restriction. Now, I am based in Cape Town, South Africa, and you guys know how crazy Cape Town was. Like, literally everybody went out. Like, literally. Okay, not literally, but I mean, you get my point, right? So, so Cape Town was just crazy. People went out, and my mom and I were supposed to go out for shopping. She was just so scared. Like, I have never seen my mom so scared of anything, but she was scared of going out on the 1st of May. And she said to me, you know what? We cannot go and apply for Corona. Like, we cannot like literally just go and apply for Corona. And I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that's how you that's how you looked at it. And I even tried to call her up like later on at 12 and see if she had changed her mind. She was like, well, the queues right now are long, so we will be lucky if we make it inside the shop. So we ended up going on the following day. Now my mom is in the cooking industry. Well, I don't want to call it the restaurant industry because I mean, she's not a restaurant, but she sells food and she's a sole proprietor. I love shopping with my mom because I end up finding like products that I would otherwise not find, because me, I just go to the usual suspects, the usual ones that make it in my basket, you know, all the time, every month. But she always like introduces me to those weird products that I end up like really loving. So she introduced me to one this month. But I must say though, like one of the other things that my mom and I just happen to always find is like bargains. And by that, like I mean things that are like marked down. So no guys, I know some of you guys are like guilty of this. And this usually happens like with yogurts, where you'll find like if they're expiring like in a month's time, and then they'll sell them like in a bulk of 3, and then we'll end up buying 6. And then the next thing, we like literally have to eat yogurts the entire month. And so what happened now is that we ended up finding like tomatoes. It's always a bad idea, right, when you buy food that's marked down. So we ended up finding tomatoes that were marked down Okay, that's it. Now that I'm saying it, I realize how bad it was, but we ended up finding that. And then, of course, I always buy like Evos in bulk. And they always like ripe together. And then I have to like eat Evos for the entire week. So this week was a salad week because I had tomatoes that I needed to rush and Evos that were ripe now all at the same time. Anyways, the point of that, and maybe that should be like a video on its own. The point there is that just make sure that your basket is not full of markdowns, because then you have to eat those markdowns all at once. And this was the one time when it actually didn't work very well for us. It usually works, guys. We went a bit overboard. So we went and did the shopping the following day on Saturday. And then when I came back, I went to fill up at the petrol station. And now when I filled up at the petrol station, my petrol was 100 rands cheaper than what it used to be. So my full tank was 100 rands cheaper than what it used to be. So of course I inquired, and I was like, at the petrol attendant, Buti, is my tank full? Getting my priorities. So I was like, is my tank full? And he was like, well, petrol prices went down almost 2 rands that month. That was April, right? And they were about to go down again by more than 1 rands again. So then that means in total, petrol prices have come down by almost 4 rands over the past 2 months. And that is one of the ways that the recent crash in oil prices is benefiting us as consumers. Now, I do understand that that might not be of importance to you right now because you are not driving as much to your workplaces. But however, I do understand that you drive every now and then to get essential services, and time will come where you might need to fill up your tank. That will be at a cheaper rate. You might find that it will be more than 100 rands, as you know, it happened with me. But I want to draw your attention on another way that we are benefiting from this crash in oil prices, despite us still sitting at home and not driving that much. Oil prices have an impact in the change in prices of goods and services, which is also known as inflation. This is because petrol price itself is a component in the calculation of inflation under the transportation component. So when oil prices go down, it means that petrol prices go down and therefore transportation costs go down. Now, as I've mentioned, this might not be of importance to you because you think that you are not using your transportation as much to go to your workplace. But I want to draw your attention where you are benefiting from low transportation costs currently, despite sitting at home and not having much movement when it comes to your personal transportation to and from your workplace. There is also a benefit in the decrease in oil prices to cost of goods and services that we find at the shops. This is because transportation is a significant cost for those goods and services, because remember, they need to be transported from where they are made to our shelves. Now, if transportation cost is low, it means that those goods and services that we are finding at our shops will also be reflecting that low transportation costs, which means that they would not go up in price as much as they would if oil prices had gone up. Of course, the decrease in oil prices, which result in the decrease in petrol prices, is not the only factor that contributes to changes in prices of goods and services. And we have to be cognizant of factors such as supply and demand. So for example, now I'm going to use a product like rice, for example, just to illustrate the concept of supply and demand. So if, for example, let's say that rice producers did not have a good crop last year, and therefore did not produce as much rice as they used to produce. And now, because of lockdown, we are consuming more rice. If I used to buy one packet of rice a month, now I'm buying 2 or 3, and everybody's buying rice. So now there's more demand for rice, but there's not enough supply for rice. So in those instances, you might find that even though the cost of harvesting rice and getting rice to your shelf has actually come down. But because there's not enough supply to meet the demand, you might find that under those circumstances, the prices will go up despite, everything being under control in terms of costs. But however, with this said, I know that the Competition Commission in South Africa has promised people that they will be keeping prices in check under this period, especially prices of essential goods and services. So if you have seen something that has gone up unreasonably, please do report it to the Competition Commission. Inflation is an important concept in investment, and one which I plan to explore even further. If you are an investor, understanding inflation is important. It helps you frame your expectations from your investments. Please do watch one of my videos on inflation and the importance of it in investments. I will be putting that link on the description. So despite the current situation that we find ourselves in of being stuck at home, there are some glimpses of hope. So for example, in the recent crash in oil prices that we have experienced in the market, we as consumers benefit in the form of low petrol prices. And I do hope that petrol prices prevail up until we come out of lockdown. But also, during lockdown, we benefit from low petrol prices because it means that the changes in prices of goods and services will not be high, which means that we can afford the things that we used to afford. Also, if you are in the delivery and transportation business, one of your main costs, which is petrol, has come down substantially, which should help boost your profit margins. I hope this has been helpful in making you understand how we have benefited as consumers in the recent crash in oil prices.